Good evening and welcome. Today we are going to be looking at a movie from 1931.
So fantastic, so degrading.
Universal Pictures' Dracula.
I am Dracula.
But today we're only going to be focusing on two actors from Dracula. Bela Lugosi, Dracula, and Dwight Frye, Renfield. We're going to be taking a look at their origin stories, their acting careers, and I'm going to take you to their personal grave sites.
Dracula. The very mention of the name brings to mind things so evil. The original terrifying story of a maniac.
Now we are at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park Cemetery, and we were looking for Dwight Frye. He played Renfield in Dracula. But it's a daunting task ahead of me because there's a lot of headstones. Let's get started. And a little bit of a warning up front: if you ever come to Forest Lawn Cemetery here in Glendale, just know this place is huge. So even with Google Maps and Find a Grave, this one is a toughie.
Honey and sugar make it different and wonderful.
Dwight Frye's early years were spent practicing piano and vocals. He wanted to be a musician on stage. As his career began, he would join theatrical groups as a piano player, but he would find himself more and more in acting roles. Frye was critically known very early on as a diverse actor. However, most of his plays were comedies. One of the theater groups that he was in would eventually make it out to the Big Apple, and this is where he would join Broadway. And even on Broadway, he was known for his diverse acting.
On screen, Lon Chaney is in The Phantom of the Opera.
By the late 1920s, Dwight Frye was a well-known Broadway actor. He would perform on stage with other big actors, including Bela Lugosi. By the late 1920s, early 1930s, Frye would move to Hollywood. He would land himself a few small roles in movies. However, he sort of struggled at the beginning until 1930, 1931, when he would land himself the role as Renfield in Dracula.
Millions of them.
The real estate agent that would turn lunatic / Dracula's slave / henchman, where he would do the bidding for Dracula. His role in Dracula would not go unnoticed. Dwight Frye would be praised for his performance as Renfield. However, he suffered the same outcome as most people that played in horror films. Dwight Frye would find his true fate in Hollywood, and that is being typecast as a lunatic, as a madman, and he couldn't get away from it. By the mid-40s, like most horror film actors, his career would dry up. He found it difficult to find jobs in Hollywood, and when he would find a role, it was still a small role in a small budget movie as a lunatic. It was also around this time when Dwight was having some difficulties, health problems, but because he was a Christian Scientist, he didn't believe in modern medicine, and he didn't believe in going to hospitals and taking care of any of these problems. Christian Scientists believe in healing through the spiritual means rather than going to scientists' man-made science. So he would oftentimes ignore the health issues. But it was around 1942 when Frye would finally get his big break. He was offered a role in a big budget movie called Wilson. The movie was about Woodrow Wilson. Needless to say, Frye was very excited. He took his wife and his son, and they went out for a dinner celebration. While on a crowded bus, Frye would have a fatal heart attack. It was November 7th, 1943. He was 44 years old. Ha! Here it is. So the headstone reads, Dwight Frye, loved husband, father, son, 1899-1943.
The original terrifying story of a maniac.
If you ever wanted to come out to see Dwight Frye's headstone for yourself, I would suggest that you go on to Find a Grave and just click the map, because it's quite difficult to find among all these other headstones. Oh yeah, and one more thing that helped me out was the design of the actual headstone. Keep in mind what the headstone actually looks like. Makes it a little bit easier. Now there are some other headstones that have the same design, but it kind of helps you out, knocking out all the other designs and just focusing on this one.
And lured innocent girls to a fate truly worse than death.
So right now we're at the Holy Cross Cemetery over in Culver City, and we're looking for Bela Lugosi's gravesite. This is my first time here. I've never stepped foot in this cemetery until today, so I'm hoping that it's not too difficult to find. Now, a little side note, this cemetery is a Catholic cemetery. Wow, look at all this lava rock. This is amazing. Just able to walk on through this. Almost feels like you're hiking in the pinnacles of some sort, you know? I just really love these shrines and these statues kind of, placed all over this lava rock. It's just, adds this really beautiful and mysterious feeling. Now, Bela Lugosi, he had a very interesting life. He was a Hungarian-American actor. Now, he's originally from Romania. He was born as Bela Ferenc Dezo Blasco. I don't know, something like that. But he was always professionally known as Bela Lugosi. In his younger years as an actor, he would find himself on the Hungarian stage right around 1902. In 1917, he would find himself performing in Hungarian silent films. Now, this was a big portion of his younger years. It was also around this time when he would marry his first wife. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Lugosi had to move to Germany after a failed Hungarian communist revolution in 1919. Apparently, he was organizing a stage actors union. Now, apparently because of this, his life was in jeopardy. He had to leave for Germany immediately. So fast, in fact, that he left his first wife behind. Now, for a short stint in Germany, Lugosi would have a movie career, playing in many German silent films. Now, after his while in Germany, he would actually pack up again and he would move out to New Orleans. And after a short stay in Louisiana, he would then find himself in the Big Apple, New York City, where he would then join the Broadway scene.
Stage attractions still dominate the Great White Way, like Cinderella on Broadway at the Winter Garden.
Lugosi would have a successful career on Broadway in New York City. And as time went on, he would find himself playing the lead role that he would be known for the rest of his life on stage as Dracula. Now, the play would be very successful, and there was some time in the mid to late 20s that the whole cast of Dracula decided to move to Hollywood. While the whole stage play of Dracula was in California, Bela Lugosi would find a new career in cinema. And from then on, he would live in California for the rest of his life. Now, when Universal Pictures put out the casting call for the movie Dracula, you would think that Bela Lugosi got the job automatically. However, that was not the case. He went down to perform for that specific movie. However, he wasn't chosen. Ian Keith, among a few other actors, were chosen by Universal Pictures to play Dracula. But because Bela Lugosi fought tooth and nail and proving to Universal Pictures that he was the actor that should play Dracula, he eventually talked him into it. Now, of course, as we all know, Lugosi would get the part and he would go on to play Dracula. And not only would he go on to play Dracula, but he would go on to perfect Dracula in a way that nobody would ever thought. His Hungarian accent was a big part of how he played Dracula. And now, a lot of times when they're trying to talk like Dracula, they mimic Lugosi's accent.
I am Dracula.
Although Lugosi was pleased with this performance, he also knew that this performance was going to typecast him, and he really wanted to avoid that whole typecasting thing. He would come to find that the issue of typecasting was a part of Hollywood. Now, Lugosi's heyday was definitely the monster era, when the monster movies were still being produced by Universal Pictures. He would go on to play in a lot of those movies. And in fact, he would play other movie monsters like Frankenstein in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. And he would play Mad Scientist, and from then on, he knew that he was typecast. He tried his hardest to find other movies. He would find other movies outside of the monster movies here and there, but they were normally smaller roles and oftentimes smaller budget movies. On top of that, as Lugosi would age, he would develop an intense pain in his leg. According to research, that pain came from the time he was in the military. And it would get worse as he got older, with the pain shooting up to his lower back. The pain would get so severe, he would develop a dependency to morphine. He also developed a serious alcohol problem. The directors and producers of the movies started noticing these problems of Lugosi's. They started noticing his drug problem. Another thing Lugosi would find himself struggling with is his love life. He would, throughout his life, marry 5 different women. And he had one son with his 4th wife. The monster movie era would come to an end in the mid-40s, which left Lugosi's career dried up. Lugosi would oftentimes borrow money because he was broke from the 4 divorces, taking care of a child, his movie career drying up, and his drug problem. By this time, Bela Lugosi was already spat out by the Hollywood machine and forgotten about. In the early to mid-50s, Bela Lugosi would meet a director by the name of Ed Wood. Now, Ed Wood was oftentimes referred to as one of the worst directors of all time. But due to Bela Lugosi's dire need for money, he would oftentimes take the roles that Ed Wood would offer him.
They come from the bowels of hell, a transformed race of walking dead, zombies guided by a master plan for complete domination of the earth.
During the making of one of Ed Wood's movies, Plan 9 from Outer Space, probably one of the weirdest movies but also hilarious movies you will ever see, Bela Lugosi would die. He would pass away. Bela Lugosi would die from a major heart attack, but that would not stop Ed Wood from hiring a new actor for Bela Lugosi's part that looked nothing like him and continued the filming, leaving behind one of the most unintentionally funny movies ever put to film.
Safe to state that the grandchildren of some of the people in this theater will not be born on Earth.
Bela Lugosi died a broke man at the age of 73.
How long have you been in the institution? 3 months. 3 months. Because 90 days is the state law, minimum. What did you weigh when you came in, rather? How much underweight were you when you entered in? Oh, I was 45 pounds underweight. 45, yes. Have you put most of that back? Oh, yes, I regained 21 pounds. You feel like your old self. You feel like $1 million. You feel like...
I love the unique feel of this area. Now, I found Bela Lugosi's grave site here. So let's go ahead and read what's on top of the headstone for Bela Lugosi. Now, of course, it says Bela Lugosi, beloved father, 1882 to 1956. Now, according to some resources, Frank Sinatra would help Bela Lugosi out with his hospital bills later in life, and also some sources say Frank Sinatra also paid for the plot of land and his funeral. But during my research, I came across something else, another source that said his fourth wife paid for the plot of land and the headstone, which is the reason why it only says beloved father, and why there is no beloved husband ingrained on the headstone. His fourth wife, Lillian, is the person he had a son with, while Hope Lugosi, his fifth wife, whom he was married to when he passed away, paid for the coffin and the funeral service. Whether if Frank Sinatra helped out with the funeral cost is debatable.
The seductive vampire and Thor Johnson as the Walking Dead. Starring the most nightmarish cast ever. Bela Lugosi.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have an honorable mention, and that is Michael Jackson. Now, that's Michael Jackson's crypt back there. Now, Michael Jackson's never been in a full-length horror movie, unless you want to talk about that Oz film he did. But he made a short film called Thriller, and I just so happened, I so happen to have done a whole video on the filming locations of Thriller. So if you like this video, go check out my Thriller video right over here. And if you want to see a cemetery tour, another one, go check this one out right over here. I'll see you guys over in either one of those, and I'll check you guys later. Bye.